Hi there, this is Paul Murphy, and in my previous video I showed you how to set up a webinar with WebinarJam in under 60 seconds, which is amazing. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go and see that. But in this video I'm going to show you how you can actually set up your webinar in about 10 minutes. So this webinar is going to, this video is going to be a little bit longer than that because I'm actually going to talk you through exactly how you can set that up. But actually, once you've got that going and you know what you're doing, you'll be able to set up your webinar in 10 minutes, integrate it with your autoresponder, set up all your email sequences, everything and all that good stuff. And also don't forget to click below. You will get a free trial, 60-day free trial with WebinarJam or EverWebinar if you want to run auto webinars. And also there will be a complete live run through of a webinar. So you'll be able to click a link and actually go through a whole webinar process exactly from start to finish on how we set up this webinar in this exact video. So you'll be able to see that webinar and actually see how it all works. Not just behind the scenes, you'll actually be able to see a live webinar in action. So enjoy the video and we'll go into the computer now. So this is what it's going to look like once you come in to the setting up a new webinar the full way. Again, you've got video tutorials, so it's really straightforward. I mean, you can literally just watch these. Anything that I've gone through in here, don't worry if you don't forget it. You know, these videos are fantastic. You won't hear this, but you know, they literally talk you through step by step. So it says basic configuration not configured. So I'm just going to pause this and fill this out and then come back so that we don't waste time filling out stuff. So yeah, we've filled all that out for you now, and this is, you know, just a title again as we went through before. And then you can actually list it if you want to on the on-demand section. So it will be shown to other people who have this webinar platform, and people who can actually list the, you know, can actually view through the on-demand store and see what webinars they can attend. So, you know, you may or may not want to do that. I generally don't, because my webinars are specific for my audience, but you know, that's something you can do definitely. And I've just got one presenter, which is myself, so I'm just going to leave that as is. And then we're going to configure the webinar provider. So, right, so this is brand new. So what they used to do is they used to do YouTube Live, which was Google Live Hangouts, and Facebook Live. But now what they do is they've got their own one called Jamcast, which is working really, really well. So we're going to choose Jamcast. But again, if you're used to using your own, again, I hadn't pressed confirm up here. So if you're used to using your own Google Hangouts or YouTube Live, then you can do that if you still want to. That's absolutely fine. But I would recommend using their Jamcast Live because it works really slick. It's really good. Webinar schedules, obviously, we just need to, you know, I'll say right now. Why not? But again, you can set that how you want to. Okay, well, no, we won't do that. We'll do a schedule. Right, so let's just make it a single presentation on let's make it the 29th at 1 AM. That's fine. And then we'll say London. Okay, so God knows why I'd be doing a webinar at 1 AM in my own time. But there you go. So that's fine. So we'll just click confirm and then registration page and end process. Okay, so again, we can choose a web registration page. We'll choose the same one we chose. And of course, you can customize this, put your own video in just by clicking on there. And then, you know, Andy Jenkins will explain that to you if you want to. And then obviously you can add presenters. This will give you a countdown and obviously put what's in store in the webinar. And then I just do save and exit here. And then you confirm. That's the bit that always gets me because I always think, well, I've done it and I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly straightforward, really, to be honest. So registration form fields. Here we go. Okay, so now you can connect. Obviously, you can connect their first name and their email address, depending on how you send out emails to your customers. I always get the first name and the email address because it's quite nice to say hey and then the first name. But you can actually get a phone number, obviously, if you need to get a phone number to contact people. And, you know, any sort of fields, make them mandatory, everything like that. So again, he explains that in that one. And then charge to the registrar. Now this is new actually. I don't think it used to be available on WebinarJam. Now you can actually charge a registration fee. So if you're obviously offering a valuable web class and people are turning up and you're saying, well, you know, attend my web class, it's only $20, then this is where you can do that. And you know, you can add your payment gateways and everything in there as well. So I'm going to say it's free because most of the webinars I use are free to attend. And then password protection. Let's just have a look at this. Anyone with a valid webinar link would be able to access the webinar room. And yes, you can have it password protected. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're charging a fee as well, you want to make sure that, you know, you might want to make sure that that's password protected. Again, I'm not. It's free. I want people to turn up, so I'm going to leave it as is. And then we click next. And then webinar notifications. At the moment, it's going to send out the 2 emails. Like I showed earlier, obviously you can do your emails and add extra emails in. I'm not going to do that now because I've already shown you how to do that and it's exactly the same. And you can, let's just have a look at the SMS thing. Yeah, you need an SMS gateway like Twilio. Which is, you know, actually if you use Twilio, that's really good because you can send them an SMS if they're out and about. That would be really handy. So again, you know, you can actually add that in so that they get reminders by SMS as opposed to, or as well as email. So we'll confirm that because I've already shown you that bit because that bit's no different really. And then click next. And then this is where you would integrate your autoresponder. So it integrates with all of them pretty much. If it doesn't integrate with one, the best thing to do is to get Zapier. You can get a free account, and then you can send a zap over to your email autoresponder with a tag. And Zapier literally configures with most of them. But to be honest, it does with most of them. If it's not configured with your autoresponder, then just contact them at their, contact WebinarJam at their support desk, and what they'll do is they'll tell you whether they've got that functionality coming out soon because they're always adding autoresponders. But it's got the main ones at the moment, and again, you can just use WebinarJam's own autoresponder for the webinar in itself. But obviously, you want to, when somebody registers for your webinar, you want to be able to capture their email address and add it to your autoresponder, and this is where you do that. So I'm not going to do that now because that's pretty straightforward. And then when you do that, you'll be able to add a tag, and then obviously if you watch this video, they'll show you exactly how to do that. And you can add a tag for each specific webinar. You can add a tag if they did or didn't attend. It's really, really good. So you can literally send out a series of emails if you wanted to, based on whether they did or didn't attend, and whether you want to send them a replay and everything based on what whether they do or don't attend, how long they attended your webinar, whether they left before the end, all that sort of great stuff. You can have those tags sent to your autoresponder, so you can actually send out a series of emails based on how you want to. Just be careful when you're doing this. Obviously, you don't want to be sending them out too many emails, because if you're using the emails that they're sending out here, I would leave it a few days after. So if they do get a tag from WebinarJam, then obviously 2 or 3 days later you might want to start sending them emails, because WebinarJam is going to be sending them out emails up until that point. Again, that's entirely up to you. You can do that if you want to. It's just, I have noticed that, what you really want to do is you want to run a few tests when you do a first webinar, because what you'll notice is if you're using your own, if you add yourself to your own mail responder, you'll see how many emails you actually get, and it can be a little bit overwhelming for your customer. So just, something to bear in mind. It's not something they go through, but, maybe a handy tip, that if you do use theirs or your own, maybe use one or the other. And then if you're not using theirs afterwards, after the 2 days, then you can start, sending from your tags from your autoresponder. Okay, so again, you can embed your affiliate link. I'm not going to do that now. And once you've got WebinarJam, obviously you can become an affiliate, and then you can embed your affiliate link into your webinar pages so that anybody who comes to one of your webinars, if they want to join WebinarJam, obviously you will then get some commission. That's pretty straightforward. So integrate a third-party tracking system. Okay, if you've got Infusionsoft or any other of those great bits of software, you can literally put in all your tracking pages, and or I think as well, this is where, again, I haven't done this with the Pixel lately because I did the Pixel slightly differently. I've actually got my Pixel tracking whether they do or don't make a purchase after this, and then the tags working. So my Pixel doesn't go in this bit, but I think you might be able to put your Pixel codes in these pages as well for your Facebook, so you can actually track exactly what they're doing and how you market to them on Facebook if you're doing marketing on Facebook as well. So this is really good. You can this will integrate with most trackers. I'm not going to show you that today. So we'll go next. Okay, so again, you can customize your thank you page. Now, this is brand new. I noticed this on the new Gendy EverWebinar that you could do this. Now, this is fantastic because the thank you page for EverWebinar and WebinarJam was one specific page up until the relaunch. So now you've got all these other great pages that you can choose. And I think you can, yeah. So we'll choose that anyway. Okay, so obviously you can change any of this as you see fit. So we're just going to do save and exit because that's pretty straightforward. You'll be able to figure that out. And always allow auto subscription to future webinars. Yep, this is really good. Obviously, if you're going to be running webinars quite a lot to your list, you can send them out links and everything, and they don't need to keep subscribing. Once they've subscribed once, they don't have to subscribe anymore. And you can survey your registrants as well. So on your thank you page, you can ask them some questions. So really good to grab vital information. This is new as well. This wasn't in the old WebinarJam. So that's a fab new feature. And again, there's a little video to show you how to do that. So we're going to say no for now. Right, so this is it. So this is when we're going live now, and you can customize your countdown page. Okay, so you've got your registration page. You've now got a countdown page. So we'll choose this one. So like I say, it creates your whole funnel for you. So you've got your registration page, which we created at the beginning. You've got your thank you page, and you've now got your countdown page. So this is when they click the link to the webinar from either your email or from the registration page, if it's coming straight through, if they've only just registered and it's coming up. This is the page you get. And again, you can choose from a variety of pages, and you can edit that as you see fit. So, as I say, if you anything you're running for a funnel, you can create a pretty good funnel based on, your registration page, your landing page, your webinar page, and then your thank you page, and then your countdown page up until the actual webinar before it goes live. And you can pre-configure your webinar polls. So this is something that you can do where you can have polls. Well, let's add one very quickly. So if we put in Fred or Ginger, ? Option 1, Fred. Option 2, Ginger. Okay, so Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers. Do you prefer Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers as your golden age of cinema dancer? Something like that. But I've just put Fred and Ginger. So we'll put in save, and then what you can do is that poll. Okay, I can't remember. Oh yes, so at the moment that's just a poll that we've put up, and then what we can do a bit later on, we'll just keep that poll there. Then you can actually select when you want the polls to appear during the webinar, which is really good. And then you can pre-configure your webinar offers, so you can say, okay, you can add images, and then you can just put passive income ladder offer, if I can spell it. And then your offer headline would be buy this course, and then you can upload an image, and the text above the button is only 10 spots or something like that. And then you've got the text inside the button is buy now, something like that. And your button link obviously would be, I wonder if it'll work if I don't put a link in, because I'm not actually doing that. And then obviously you can set a price. So obviously this link is going to go to your sales page, but you can actually let them know what the price is. So say this course is $297, something like that. And do you want to apply scarcity? There you go. So you can actually say there's only 10 units. Do you want to apply urgency? Yep. So again, you can have a little countdown timer on the offer. So say that it's only available for 1 hour. I mean, this is all brilliant. A lot of this stuff they didn't have in the old version. So that will then come up at the end. What I'm going to do after I've run this, I'm actually going to run I'm going to set up a webinar, but it won't be a live webinar, because what I want you to do is to be able to go through it at your, as and when you find this video and you want to actually see how this system works. But what I'll do is I'll set it up in an EverWebinar, which is basically an auto webinar system, but I'll have it set up with all these settings, so as though it's like a live webinar. EverWebinar is basically WebinarJam. It's their auto webinar software. This is for live webinars. So what I'll do is, based on all of these settings that we've got here, I will give you an EverWebinar link down below in the YouTube clip. So if you're not on YouTube now, click on the YouTube logo in the bottom right. So you go to the YouTube page, look at the actual links, and there will be a link for you to actually go through this whole process that I've set up here. And I'm going to set you up an EverWebinar, so it'll be something you can log into it every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day, so you can actually see how this system works. The only difference is obviously when you set it up, you'll be setting up a live webinar, which will actually only go live when you want it to. The reason I'm setting up is EverWebinar, so you can see how the process works. And to be honest, the two are so similar, you wouldn't know. I mean, he's done that deliberately, which one's an EverWebinar and which one's a live webinar anyway. So, yeah, so obviously make sure you click that link afterwards so you can actually see how great this platform is and see how well it works. So, yeah, I'm going to end up putting an image in here a bit later, but I'm not going to waste your time with that now. And then, we'll say 10 units and we'll add scarcity, that sort of stuff. So that's really good. And then we'll confirm that. Confirm. Pre-configure video injections. Here we go. I don't actually know what this one is. So let me just pause this a second, then I'll come back. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, I didn't understand the way they've written it there, but basically all it is that if you wanted to have a live webinar and you wanted to interject it with some training, maybe you've done some training or you've got something that you don't want to do live, or you've got something you want to show them while you're on there live, you can actually interject with a video. So you could do a little bit of a live start perhaps, and then have some of your presentation be pre-recorded if you wanted to, and then come back to being live. Or you could just have the whole thing pre-recorded and they wouldn't necessarily know. So that's where you would do that here. Again, I'm not going to do that right now. So there you go. And then pre-configure your file sharing. So yeah, I mean, obviously you can, if you want to add a PDF or anything like that to your course, then, to your webinar, or a PDF from your course, or say for instance you've got something where you wanted to offer them a bonus for staying to the end, which is always a good tip to do especially if you're wanting people to stay on quite a long webinar. It's always good to offer them a bonus for staying to the end. This is where you can add those, and then they can come up a bit later. Again, I'm not going to add that right now, but I may well add something in on the link on the YouTube thing so you can actually see how that works. Okay, and pre-configure your slide presentation. Okay, now let's just have a look at this. Okay, well this is new, because what I used to do is I used to just run it from my Keynote or PowerPoint. So let me just pause and have a quick look at that video. Oh, so this is pretty new. This is pretty good actually. So basically, if you've got Keynote or PowerPoint presentation, you can upload it into WebinarJam and have it running through WebinarJam instead of actually having it running through Keynote or PowerPoint while you're running a live webinar. You know, I guess that's one of those things that's going to be a personal choice thing. Certainly worth checking out, and I'll certainly be testing that at some point. But there you go. So that's what that one is. And then enable a webinar replay page. So we're going to enable a replay page. And when you do enable, you'll be able to send the replay room link to your users. So yeah, we'll just, there we go, configure the replay content. So we'll do a replica replay of the exact video, okay? And then, I mean, obviously you can do, if you want to, we can redirect to a URL if you wanted to have your replay done specifically how you want it on your own landing page software. You can do that, or you can actually have a custom video of one of your better runs of that. So you don't necessarily have to have a replay of the exact thing. You can actually specifically choose a video for it, or you can actually send them to a URL somewhere else if you don't want to have it within WebinarJam. So they're giving you all three options there. So we'll just say replica replay of that actual presentation, and set webinar replay exploration time. So there you go. You can actually, you know, quite often what you would do, that's pretty straightforward again, is you would say, well, you know, we're sending you a replay, but it's only up for 2 days because the offer's only available. So obviously if you want to actually expire it, you can expire it as and when you see fit. So that's really good. And then allow users to submit questions. Now if you display a question box, your replay viewers will be able to send you questions directly to your email inbox as they watch the webinar replay. Okay, right, yeah, this is just for the replay. You can actually have them send you questions. Now, again, that's personal preference. I usually like to keep that checked because it is quite good to get any information that you get from your customers is always valuable. So if there's something they don't understand or they want to send you an email, that's always good to have that, and then you'd put your email there. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to put no, so that we don't have to waste any more time on that one. And that's it, you've done that. So, I mean, that took us about sort of 15-20 minutes, but that will take you, once you've done a couple of those, that will take you literally 10 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll quickly run a test, and we'll do, called them both the same thing. So the 1 o'clock in the morning, this is the full one that we just did. So I'm going to do run a test. Okay. So link to the webinar registration page. So we'll put that in up here, and we will register for this webinar. So yeah, the loading time is pretty good as well. So if you have got your own landing page software, I don't know what I did just then. Let's try that again. If you have got your landing page software, then you know, depending on what you've got, I mean, I know some of them have got pretty diabolical loading times. Some of the, you know, some of the more expensive ones have got some really good loading times. WebinarJam's really, really fast. I've not had a problem with it. So there you go. It tells you that there's 8 days, because we did set that for the 29th of November at 1 AM. So that's got a really good countdown. And then we didn't actually put a video in here, but you can put a video, and then you can let them register. And then obviously they put in their first name. So we're going to put in Paul. And the email address, I'm going to put in that one. Register now. And there you go. So now you've been registered. And the there you go. I mean, it won't. If you'd have included Twilio, it would have done the SMS reminder as well. But you can they can add it to their calendar there, which is really good. And there's nothing more to show you really, because the countdown page will only appear once they actually, let's have a look, see whether we can get the countdown page. It may well be, let's try that direct link to the live room. Yeah, I mean that's the link you're only going to give when it's just about to start, because it's not actually starting for another 7 days. So that will show that page. But yeah, I mean, obviously they will get sent an email, and then they can look at the countdown page. Actually, let's go to here. So yeah, basically So you'll then get an email, and this is the link to the, here we go. This is the countdown page. So the first thing that will happen is obviously once they're registered, they get the email, and then they'll get the link directly to the countdown page like this. And it will tell them, obviously it's starting in 8 hours, 11 days. If you want to give them the direct link, hold on, which you can send out, oh. Right, so here we are in the test phase, and this is the live link to the webinar registration. So as you can see, if you click, So I just paused it for a second because I just wanted to bring up the test and the links. So as I said, like, this is the link to the registration page. This is obviously, you'd make this a pretty link and you'd send this to your email list. They would then click on this and they would get this page, and then they would, I mean, as I say, you could put your own video in here. Gives them a nice countdown here for how long this webinar is going to take, and obviously all of your information will come up here. And then once they press registered here, they're going to go to here and then put in their details. And then what will happen is they'll get this email, and this email will give them a link to the countdown page. Now, this will obviously be telling them exactly how long it is to the countdown. So, you know, this is all configured with all your configurations. Obviously, you can put a lovely video in here, or you can just put their standard one, which a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people use this because it's really good. It sort of tells them how to prepare for a webinar. So you can use that one if you want to. And then if you want to, and they'll get this congratulations page, obviously, once they've registered. So it will go directly to this. And then they can add it to their calendar by clicking on that. And if you've got Twilio, you can have an SMS reminder sent. And then what you can do is, if you're sending out a email to your list just before the webinar, so say you've got, you know, a load of new subscribers or something like that, or you wanted to include it on social media or anything like that, you can actually include this link, which will get them to log in straight away. And when they do, it will actually say the host is initiating the event will start soon. So obviously that's the only the link that you're going to send out just before, to save them going through all the rigmarole. They can literally just register and be straight in, if they haven't already registered. So that, in essence, is the entire Webinar Jam. Now, if you do decide to go through the affiliate link down below, then you will actually get access to Webinar Genesis, which is their course on how to run the best webinars and everything you need to know about running webinars and everything like that. So they're going to go talk through, you know, all the factors of how to set up your webinar, how to actually structure it, how to promote it, and, you know, everything you can think of. There's, you know, an amazing course, and they sell this for quite a lot of money. But what they're doing is, what they've done is they've included this in our affiliate links. So you might want to have a look through that and take advantage of that if you're not used to running webinars. And if you are, I'm sure you'll be able to pick up some amazing new tips. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Don't forget, 60 days free trial. And if you want EverWebinar as well, you can get 60-day free trials. I'll put both of the links. And then, there, as I say, there will be a link on the YouTube page if you want to have a look at how the actual webinar works when you actually see it live. So you can actually go through the registration process and actually see a webinar that I've set up for you. It will be an EverWebinar, which, as I say, is a auto webinar, because I'm not going to be running live webinars 24 hours a day for you, but it will be exactly the same process as the WebinarJam. They're exactly the same. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next video.